Okay children, now we will go further to the depth of the speech. Now remember one thing, when we are going into any of the lessons, when we go for any lessons, any subject, we go to that, the lesson may be, it's a prose, it has some story or it has some fact or it is some report. But here the lesson is a speech, and this speech is about environment, about saving an environment, and it is not from a very educated person, it is from an illiterate person, and he is a Red Indian chief from United States. Got it? And this story starts from in 1853. And the beginning of the lesson only I have told you 1854. This year Red Indian chief has given a speech, and this speech is even famous even right now, and it is as important as it was during those days. So now we will continue the speech of our settle, and he says, "This shining water that moves in streams and rivers is not just water but the blood of our ancestors." He talks about the rivers. Streams means what? Small rivulets are called streams. Small, you can say our river Godavari, which is beside us, that is a river because it has a great distance between one bank to another bank. Streams or rivulets have very short distance, they are very small in size, and this size will be mostly in the rocky areas, means especially where the rivers originate. So these streams were more in this area where Red Indian chief used to live. So he describes the water of these streams as shining water, and it is not water. He says that is the blood of his ancestors. And who are ancestors? Ancestors are our forefathers. It means what he actually wants to tell is that on this land, it is not that we are living. Our father, our grandfather, our great-grandfather, our great-grandfather's great-grandfather also lived in this soil. So this land is very, very important to us. From the very beginning he says this land is sacred to us. Sacred means holy to us. So because this land was occupied from many centuries ago. He talks about his ancestors. He says these rivers over here are completely, they are not the water. It is the blood of his forefathers. So here he says that compares the water with the blood of the ancestors. If we sell you land, he talks to the white man. If we sell you the land, you must remember that it is the sacred blood of our ancestor. So this river belongs not for me and for my past generation. It is completely from very, very past. That is from our forefathers. If we sell you the land, you must remember that it is sacred blood of our ancestors. If we sell you land, you must remember that it is sacred, and you must teach your children that it is sacred, and that each ghostly reflection in the clear water of the lakes tells of the events in the life of my people. He tells one more thing. Now he goes deeper into his speech. The water which is so clear, so fresh, that is actually depicts our blood of our ancestors. And he also says that teach your children. He tells the white man, please tell your children, please teach your children to keep this water as clear or as fresh it is now. He tells us over here that the water, when the movement of the water, there are small ripples, waves. Did you ever see? Did you ever go to the river bank or to the seashore? You will see, in seashore you have big waves. In the river or in the stream or in rivulets, you have small waves, ripples will be going. And when you look into the river, you will find your reflection. And your reflection is not clear, it is moving. Next, if you have not seen, just take a big tub of water, put water in there and try to give a small movement to the tub. The water will ripple and you look into the water. You see a reflection which is not standard. It moves. And that movement, here the author says, Settle says, ghostly reflection. Ghostly means a clear, that is not clear. So it is moving. The reflection is moving. So that movement is called ghostly reflection. And he says, who are those ghosts? Those are the ancestors. He feels the presence of his forefathers in the water of the streams. Then, the water murmurs is the voice of my father's father. Now, whenever the water moves, ripples, it gives a sound. That sound is called murmur. A small sound is called murmur. And he says that murmur, that sound is his grandfather's sound. So he feels the presence of his ancestors in the environment, especially in the water also. The rivers are of our brothers, quench our thirst. So he says, the rivers which are here, they are clear, crystal clear. They shine, and that water is very important because it quenches our thirst. Thirst means when we want to drink more and water, that time we feel thirsty. So that time we like to drink water, and that water is supplied by our rivers. The rivers carry our canoes and feed our children. So the river carries the canoes, means the rivers are the mode of transportation. Transportation means we have small boats, because these are illiterate and tribal people, they don't have boats. They use the log of the tree as a canoe. You might have seen in many of the pictures. I will just draw it, you can understand. There is a trunk, this is the tree. Okay? Now they cut this part. And when you put the canoe like this, they make a hollow over here. This becomes the canoe. The man, the person sits over here, and with the stick he just uses as a transportation from one place to another place. Nowadays, even in the village areas, you can see small boys playing with it. They cut the coconut tree and they make a hollow in the center, and trees are good as weightless. So what happens? It just floats on the water. So these are actually called canoes. So Red Indians used canoes as the means of transport, and it feeds the people. What does he mean by feed? They take all the aqua food, fishes, all those, it is a food for them. So he says, please teach your children to look after this water. Don't pollute the water. In simple terms he tells, tell your children not to pollute our water, because in this water our ancestors live. In this water from this water we had our food. So that is what he is trying to again send back the message to the white people. If we sell you our land, you must remember to teach your children that the rivers are our brothers and yours, and you must henceforth give the rivers the kindness that you would give my brother. So treat the river as you treat your brother. That is the message which Settle gives to the white man. The next he talks about a very nice heading we have been given, that is precious. Precious means valuable. Now, the more valuable than the previous message here, the Settle is going to tell us. The air is precious to the red man. The air is very valuable, he says to red man. But actually, it is not only valuable for red man, but for any of us. But what the Settle wants to tell us is, don't try to dampen freshness by industrialization in the name of modernization. That is what Settle wants to tell us. So here he says that the air is precious to the red man, for all things share the same breath. The beast, the tree, the man, they all share the same breath. So that's what, just now what I have said. Air is very valuable, very, very important, not only for a red man but also for every man. So please be careful, don't pollute the air. The white man does not seem to notice the air he breathes. Like a man dying for many days, he is numb to the stench. So he says, white men are not bothered about the freshness of the air. They are just bothered about modernization, technology and development. In that name, they are trying to create more and more pollution, and he has become numb. Numb means senseless. He does not know what he is doing. The white man, in the name of modernization, he does not know that he is spoiling the air which he is also breathing. And just imagine an illiterate man, illiterate tribal man, Settle is trying to tell us. Okay, but we see, if we sell you our land, you must remember that the air is precious to us, that the air shares its spirit with all the life it supports. So he said, now we are ready to give the land to you, but see that you give value to the air which you breathe and which we have breath. The wind you gave our grandfather, the wind that gave our grandfather his last breath, also receives his last sigh. He said the wind, the air, which has given the, which was there when his grandfather was alive, and it was when his grandfather has last sigh means when he has died. So here, Settle tells us about the air which his grandfather has breath when he was born and when he has died. So here what Settle wants to tell us is that number of generations, his generations have lived in this pure and very, very warm air, and he gives a reply back, a stern message to the white people that they should not spoil this. That is what he is trying to say. And now, and if we sell you our land, you must know, you must keep it apart and sacred as a place where even the white man can go to taste the wind that is white, sweetened by the meadows' flowers. So he says that you should know that this complete air is having the fragrance of fresh flowers. So all that should be kept safe. So we will consider your offer to buy our land. If we decide to accept, I will make one condition. The white man must treat the beast of this land as his brothers. So that he says, first he has explained about the purity, about the sensibility of his land and his people. And then he gives an option to the white man. Okay, I have told you about all this. Now we are ready to give you our land. And it is your duty and your children's duty to look after our land in the same way as we have done. So that is the option which Red Indian Chief gives to the great white chief of USA. I am a savage. Savage means animal. Here it means uncivilized or illiterate and do not understand any other way. I have seen thousands of rotting buffaloes on the prairies left by the white man who shot them from a passing train. Here is a very beautiful sentence. This is not one sentence. This sentence has a very big disastrous story behind it. So I will just tell you in short. He says, I am a literate person. I don't know how to read and write. But I don't understand how you people and you white people have killed have not used it and you have left those buffaloes smelling and rotting over there, means they were spoiled. The carcass means the dead bodies of any animal or the animal. So you have left those carcasses over there, and the smell of that, the foul smell of that dead buffaloes were spread to a long very long distance. Then he says one more thing. I am a savage. Again he says, he repeats that he is an illiterate and do not understand how the smoking iron horse can be made more important than the buffalo that you killed only to stay alive. You, ante the white man, I really cannot follow you. How you have shot animals, buffaloes, from the running train. A white smoking iron horse and train. During those days there were engines, locomotive engines. I think now also you can see it as in some museums. Locomotive trains. Locomotive trains means it was an engine. You might have seen it, and even nowadays we have toys also about it. Like this, the engine will be there. And there will be smoke coming out. This is the engine. This engine is called locomotives, and here Settle calls it as iron horse because it is made of iron and because it is moving, carrying luggages, he calls it horse. So he says, I cannot understand how you white people from the running train you have shot as many buffaloes as you can and you left them there just for no cause, not for using them also, just you left them like that. So that is what he is trying to tell them. What is man without beast? You kill so many animals, do you think you can live? He questions the white man. You are killing animals as you feel like, without any reason, without any cause. You have not used those animals also. How can you live without animals? Actually, here comes the title of our lesson. This is very important. When nowadays you see now many of you all watch number of movies. The content of the movie is reflected in the movie's name. I hope you understood. The content, whatever the story of the movie is reflected in the heading or in the movie's name. So every heading is very important because it gives us the reflection of that lesson. So this heading is very important, very apt, and he asks us a question. This lesson has a question. So the heading has a question. So this question is very important for the white man and it is very apt, and this is where in this part of the lesson he puts it. What is man without the beast? If all the beasts were gone, man would die from a great loneliness of spirit. For whatever happens to the beast soon happens to man. All things are connected. It's a very simple thing. We all are educated people. We have read in our science lessons also. Everything is interrelated. The food chain. Food chain. Do you understand food chain? Food chain. You might have read it in 4th or 5th class only. How every animal is connected to another animal, and we all survive with the dependence of each other. We are dependent, we are not independent. And here Chief Settle, Red Indian tribe chief, he is an illiterate man and he understood that man cannot live without animals and everything is connected. He tells